Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
Well, the football season is almost here. Alabama football will be back on the practice field this Friday for the start of fall camp. With the Tide getting back in action, the team takes to Bryant-Denny Stadium for its annual Fan Day on Saturday. Saban and the team will host an open practice from 2:30 to 4:30 inside the stadium, the only fall open practice. And following the practice, coaches and players will be on the field signing autographs, and those fans will be getting after it. The first 150 fans in line at Gate 25 will receive wristbands to get early entrance to the post-practice autograph session. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock Bottling Company alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and it is special. This is the first week in a long time. Of course, we had spring ball, but in a long time that we've had a practice that counts toward the season. That happens on Friday, and we will enjoy again tonight Pepsi Zero Sugar, max taste, 0 calories. Man, that's good. Whew, almost killed the whole thing right there. Fall practice, as I said, starts Friday. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, Rodney, before a big recruiting weekend with the Champions Cookout over the weekend, the athletic department extended Nick Saban's contract through 2025. He'll receive an annual increase of $400,000 to his current base salary and an $800,000 signing bonus. Alabama offensive lineman Ross Pierce-Baker addressed the longevity of Saban's tenure at SEC Media Days a couple of weeks ago.
I don't see any signs of slowing down and haven't since I came here, so who knows, how much longer he could coach. I think that he just really enjoys being a part of a team and just kind of having that team aspect. So I think he'll try to coach as long as possible.
Rodney, some people might try to say, particularly opponents, that this is symbolic and, what's another year. But we've discussed this before. Everybody makes a big deal out of Saban turning 67 on Halloween of this year. But I've not seen any signs that he's slowing down. In fact, if anything, I think he's working harder now than he ever has. He's energized by the opponents and by all of the former assistants, I think, that are coming after him in this league. I know fans are always worrying about when he'll quit and who'll be the next coach, but I'll just say this again. This is his 12th season. If you'd have said when he came here you were going to get 12 seasons out of him, I think everybody would have said, heck yeah, I'll take it. I think he's going to go 20. I really do. I think he's going to go 20 seasons. I see no slowdown in him at all. This is what he loves to do. He said it himself. He doesn't have a lot of hobbies outside of football. And all 66-year-olds are not created equal. He's a lot younger than a lot of people that I know they're 46. I think this is the real deal. I think he's going to be at Alabama for, I think, at least 8 more years.
Well, it's very difficult to predict. He's 67 years old again. He seems to be in tremendous shape, obviously. Like you said, not the typical 67-year-old man. And, Gary, I have a hard time disagreeing with anything you said. Right now, as you look at it, certainly with his health, his energy level seems to be really high. And I agree with you. I do think that the young assistants that were formerly here, Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee, you've got, obviously, Kirby Smart at Georgia. I think Jimbo Fisher, a former assistant of his at LSU, now at Texas A&M. I think a lot of this competition has kind of perked him up a little bit, and he's responded to it very well.
I think he's going to go through the contract. And, I know as it gets closer to that contract, he'll be, in his mid-70s. But I'm telling you, this guy is different. And Alabama fans rejoice. And opposing recruiters, not so much. Well, Rodney, as fall camp gets started on Friday, and I ask you this a lot, but now that it's here, storylines that you're going to be looking forward to covering with this Alabama fall camp. I know there are a lot of them, but just
quarterback? Anybody want to talk about the quarterbacks? That's a question.
I think we could just take that one for granted. You want to go somewhere else and just say we know we'll be covering the quarterbacks. What are some others?
Gary, when I look at this team, obviously there's a lot of people to replace in the secondary. They lost a ton of players, But look, they've got a lot of young talent. Mm-hmm. They've recruited extremely well. I think this past recruiting class, that the group they brought in the secondary, a lot of those guys are going to have opportunities to contribute. So I think maybe it may take some time for them to develop, but also I think that on the offensive side of the ball, it's going to be real interesting. Obviously, we've got a new coordinator with Mike Loxley. I think Dan Enos, too, contributing. And then on the defensive side, you've got Tosh Lapointe. Mm-hmm. So you've got new coordinators. But listen, I think the one thing about Nick Saban is so impressive, they talk about how important continuity is, and it is to some extent. But, I mean, anytime he's had big change, and he's had a lot of coaching change since he's been here, I mean, it's never slowed him down.
Let's talk about some individuals. Defensive line is always so important. It's kind of where Alabama's made their hay under Nick Saban. He's signed some junior college guys in the past up front, and they've been good as juniors, but seem like always as seniors. They've Quentin Dial, Jaron Reed, Isaiah Buggs. What kind of step you think he could take as a defensive lineman?
I think Isaiah Buggs is set to really take off, Gary. I mean, he was the best junior college defensive lineman in the country a couple of years ago. Thought it was a big get when Alabama pulled him away from LSU. Really like Isaiah Buggs. We saw flashes last year. I just think he had to make the adjustment to this level. I think when you look at Buggs, Raekwon Davis, and really watch out for Quentin Williams, I think he's going to have a breakout season.
Offensively, and listen, Damian Harris is the man. Yeah. I mean, he is one of the best running backs in the country. But Najee Harris and Brian Robinson, two guys that are going to be sophomores, they're both big, strong, fast, and physical. What do you think of their play potentially this year?
Well, I think when you look at both those guys, they're everything you said. I think when you see what we saw from Najee in the championship game, I mean, there's a lot of big expectations. I think you're going to see a lot from him this year. Brian Robinson's certainly going to be there in the mix. Now, the question is, where exactly does Josh Jacobs fit in? He's a different kind of player. He's a versatile guy. He's really quick. He can run with speed, run with power, but he can also, Gary, line up in the slot, catch passes. So when you look at running backs, I mean, that quartet right there is probably the best quartet in the country.
And back to the defense, Savion Smith, obviously a lot expected of him at cornerback. Can he live up to the hype?
Well, I think, Gary, athletically, certainly he can. Savion Smith was a great five-star player coming out of high school. I think the coaching he gets here is obviously the best. And you combine that, and I think Savion Smith in time is going to be a really good cornerback. I expect him probably to win that starting right corner spot. And then on the other side, Trevon Diggs had won the left corner spot last year until the initial game there against Florida State. He lost that position to Levi Wallace, who did a great job. But I think Trevon Diggs, a lot of people, he's a tremendous athlete. He's very instinctive, Gary. He's a guy that could play a lot of different positions. And, from everything you pick up about Trevon Diggs, he's a very conscientious player. So I think Trevon Diggs could be set to have a big year.
And last but not least, the quarterbacks. And we don't have a lot of time, but let's start with Tua, because if he does win the starting job, I know people, regardless, are anxious to see more of him on a week-to-week basis. What do you think his potential is?
Well, potential, just to be honest with you, I mean, it's through the roof. I mean, to me, I think he's potentially the best quarterback I've seen at Alabama. And again, I know a lot of people say, that's saying a lot. But, that's potential, Gary.
Right.
That's potential. And again, I want to say this, too. Jalen Hurts has had 2 years here. He's done a tremendous job. When you talk about kind of guys that have his ability in terms of his legs and the things that he can make happen, I mean, he's a tremendous player as well.
TBD. That's what Nick Saban says.
TBD.
I'll stick with Nick Saban. To be determined on the quarterbacks. Well, still to come on Tider Insider Television. Alabama keeps the train rolling as another 2020 recruit announced his commitment to the Crimson Tide today. We'll discuss those details coming up. And some new faces will be in the Alabama radio broadcast booth next year. We'll discuss those changes. And coming up, we'll get to your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the phone number, 205-348-WVOA. That's 348-9882. Or email us at TITV@WVOA23.com. Or you can tweet at us as well. Use that hashtag TITV. We'll be back with more right after this timeout.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. The older guys see me working, they see me doing what I'm supposed to do. And like I said, I'm just not trying to be extremely vocal right now, just trying to observe, learn from everybody else, the older guys, Rashad, TJ, X, Bobby, all those guys, and just keep it pushing.
There aren't many like Minka Fitzpatrick, I'm telling you. When it comes to being a football player, he's a natural, and he works at it. He's getting adjusted to life in the NFL as he is part of his first training camp with the Miami Dolphins. Welcome back to Tider Insider. I'm Gary Harris alongside Rodney Orr. This is not our first TITV. we've had a few rodeos, but I tell you what, we keep enjoying it, and guys like Mika Fitzpatrick make it possible to enjoy it. He was a pleasure to cover. And as he gets ready for his rookie season, Reuben Foster is gearing up for his second campaign with the 49ers after a tumultuous offseason. Foster addressed the media for the first time after facing damaging domestic violence charges over the summer, which were ultimately dropped. However, the former first-round pick did get a 2-game suspension by the NFL. Here's what Reuben had to say about it.
It is what it is, you know, accept the consequence, you move on, you take it and you move on, you know. You learn from it too and you grow from it, so I ain't worried about it. I'm just gonna suck it up and fight it, and just knowing that my brothers and them gonna be out of the field, just doing them, you know, doing what they do best.
And Julio Jones is on the practice field for the Falcons. The star wide receiver ended his what turned out to be just a mini camp holdout after the Falcons kind of did his deal, giving him a bonus, and they'll rework his contract completely after this season. He's got more money, about $2 million, to get into camp before we go renegotiating next year. The former Alabama star said that he would like to remain with the Falcons, and this is the first step to securing his future. Another former Alabama receiver and current teammate Calvin Ridley talked about what it means for him to have Julio on the field.
He's so detailed in the plays. He knows everything. He's like a coach. He coaches me on everything. Like, even if I do it right, he's still gonna coach you. This, you could do it better. Like this, you can lean on him. You could do. So it's like having another coach on the field, and he's watching everything all of us do. No matter who you are on the field, he's still gonna help you.
And imagine this: Alabama picked up a commitment for 2020 today. 3-star tight end Caden Clark out of Archbishop Hoban in Akron, Ohio, committed to the Crimson Tide on Twitter, 6'5", 245 pounds. I know it's 2020. He's only going to be a junior, but tell me what you know about this young man. I think the 6th commitment for 2020.
Well, you know, Gary, when I first looked at him, the first thought I really had was Dan Enos.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't even aware that Dan Enos was the recruiter
right,
until you told me. But, you know, when I thought of him, you see those Arkansas tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alabama's had tight ends like this before, too. But he really fits that mold.
A Hunter Henry type.
Yeah, he's 6'5". And, you know, again, I hate to compare him to him, but the size, when you look at him, 6'5", 245, guy that's probably going to get a lot bigger. Obviously, a guy that can play in the run game, you know, on the inline tight end. And also, Gary, a guy that can catch a football.
Yeah, once again, Alabama can go anywhere in this country and recruit football players. Some new faces on the Alabama radio broadcast team for this coming season. Crimson Tide Sports Network. Phil Savage, of course, announced that he was stepping down as the color commentator, but former Alabama quarterback John Parker Wilson will take Savage's spot in the booth next to Eli Gold. Another former Alabama football player, Rashad Johnson, will join the broadcast team as he takes over on the sidelines for Chris Stewart. Stewart will take on a new role this season as he'll host the radio pregame and tailgate show and the halftime show as well, providing in-game updates. Rodney, you know, when Savage left, and he was terrific, I thought. This was an opportunity, though, I think, for Nick Saban to make even more of a mark on the Crimson Tide Sports Network with 2 of his former players joining the broadcast team.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, again, I thought there was some other outstanding candidates as well, but so really, how could you go wrong? But I think John Parker Wilson will do a fantastic job. You know, obviously he's got some experience. I think he does a tremendous job in terms of analyzing things, breaking it down. When you see an offensive play, John Parker Wilson does a really good job of kind of letting the people know, you know, what happened, you know, giving you a better idea. So I think he's going to do a tremendous job. And Rashad Johnson, I mean, that guy's fantastic. I really like Rashad. Came here as a walk-on from Sulligent. You know, he had a storied career here. And, yeah, really good to have him back. I think he'll do a tremendous job on the sideline.
Yeah, having a former player from the sideline perspective, I think is outstanding. And Chris Stewart, great to have him coming back off of that stroke that he suffered and still being part of the team as well. And, of course, Eli Gold. I mean, what can you say about Eli? Simply one of the best in the business. Should be a lot of fun listening to Alabama football on the radio this coming season. Well, still to come, former Alabama basketball player JaMychal Green returned to his hometown of Montgomery to host a youth basketball camp. We'll let you know all about it coming up. And also on the way, phone calls, emails, and tweets. I encourage you to call in now so that you can get through 205-348-9882. You can also email us or tweet at us. Use the hashtag TITV so that we will see it and get it on the air. We'll be right back with more of the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. The one, the only, Tider Insider TV. We'll return right after this.
Really came to show them that it's possible. You know, dreams do come true, and
to see somebody in the city make it out, it's probably getting a little more motivation. I don't know, anything's possible. I just want them to come out here and have fun.
Former Alabama basketball player JaMychal Green was back in his hometown Montgomery, giving back to the community. The Grizzlies forward was hosting his second annual Brothers Keeper Camp, teaching the youth in his hometown skills about basketball and life. Green is also a part of the camp, as part of the camp, gave away a total of 500 backpacks to the youth around Montgomery. This is a guy who it didn't come easy for him. Good to see him having success and good to see him giving back, Rodney, to his community there in Montgomery. All right, let's go to the phone lines. First up tonight is Stephen in Northport. Stephen, welcome into the program. How are you? Stephen, you with us? All right, let's try John in Walker County.
Yeah, hey, my question asked about the quarterback situation. I know we won't know who's going to start until it's game time, but out of your opinion, because you know more than we do, who do you believe will have a better chance of starting this year?
Rodney, again, I mean, we'll see when we go to Orlando, and then we'll see what happens after that. Because I don't think who necessarily starts that game means they'll be the long-time quarterback for the season. But what do you think? What's your best projection of who'll be the starting quarterback?
Here's the thing. Camp opens on Friday, and really Nick Saban says it's to be determined. And, I could sit here and tell you what I think, but it really doesn't matter. There's some things, obviously, Tua didn't go through spring practice. Is his hand 100%? We don't know that. I mean, we think it is. If it is, I think that it's probably going to be difficult for him not to be the guy. But they're going through a camp. They're going to compete, and we'll see how it goes. So that's really the best I can do.
All right. Thank you, John, there in Walker County. Let's stay with John. This John is in Bessemer. John, what's up, man?
Gary, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, you know it.
Hey, man, I'm trying to find out who's going to be the quarterback this year, and somebody telling me Georgia is going to win it all this year, and I wonder about Alabama field goal kicker.
All right, John, we just talked about the quarterback. So, Rodney, let's start with the field goal kicker. I think we got a question similar to last week. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that they might use two-place kickers again.
They've done it before. Jonathan Shelley and Cade Foster, right? They split time, and they've probably had others. But, Adam Jones is a transfer from Temple, who was 50 of 67 in his career up there. He's a grad transfer. So he did a tremendous job. I think he's going to have a great opportunity to compete with Joseph Bulovas, the redshirt freshman, or the freshman that blue-shirted actually last year. But and I thought Bulovas was outstanding in the spring. Gary had a great A-Day game. I think he was, 5 of 7 or whatever it was. But, both those guys are going to give Alabama an opportunity to kind of strengthen, I think, the place-kicking role.
And as far as Georgia, John, talking about winning a championship and winning it, two different things. They even found out last year when they were that close.
1980, John.
Yeah, it's been a long time. All right, coming up, our Green Track Bama Bingo Trivia Question of the Week, and more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. The information posted there on your screen, again, so you can get through. We'll be back with more phone calls and some trivia for you on Tider Insider TV. It's time for our Green Track Bama Bingo Trivia Question of the Week. You can answer the question on WVUA 23's Facebook page for an opportunity to win a Green Track Bama Bingo Free Play Power Pack, man. Who holds the Alabama record for receiving touchdowns in a season? Good candidates, all of them. Julio Jones, Dennis Holman from the 60s, Al Bell from the 80s, or Amari Cooper. So Julio Jones and Cooper played for Saban. Holman played for Coach Bryant. Al Bell played for Ray Perkins. Those are your possibilities. Go to our Facebook page to answer for a chance to win. All right, let's get right back to the phone lines. Gary from Mobile has been patiently holding on line one. Go ahead, Gary.
Yes, how you doing tonight?
Very well.
I got a question. We started out on a bang on 2019 recruiting, number one, and Georgia signed 3 5-stars in 3 days, and they're at number 2 right now. They're climbing fast, about to knock us off our perch again. We need to kind of pick up the pace on getting some 5-stars. Would you agree?
All right, Gary. No, I wouldn't agree. I think Alabama's just fine. Listen, Georgia's going to recruit under Kirby Smart. That's a fact. But Alabama's doing just fine.
Yeah, I mean, again, Alabama does have a lot of commitments right now. I think when you look at the guys that they have out there that's still available, that they're in good shape with, they're going to finish very strong, Gary. Now, again, will they be number 1 or number 2? Somewhere in there. But certainly I think they'll have as good a class as Georgia's. Yeah,
Georgia's going to recruit, Gary. That's just a fact. All right, Jerry in Hamilton, we got about a minute. What's up, Jerry?
Number 1, and Georgia signed 3 5-stars in 3 days. They're at number 2 right now. They're climbing fast. About to knock us off our perch again.
Okay, all right. That's Somebody listening to the show, turn that sound down. We're on a delay, so that's what you're going to get. But thanks for the phone calls tonight, and we appreciate you being part of the program. All right, with football season getting closer, the University of Alabama Police Department showed its Alabama pride. You'll want to see this, folks. I'm telling you, man, this was good stuff. We'll have it for you coming up next on TITV.
Sweet home Alabama.
The University of Alabama Police Department, with some help from Big Al and the UA cheerleaders, did the lip sync challenge. The UAPD was challenged by the Clemson PD, and that turned into a memorable rendition of the theme song for Alabama football, Sweet Home Alabama. Good stuff. Welcome back to Tider Insider TV. Before we close it out, we want to recognize a pair of former Crimson Tide golfers who performed very well on the course. One former and one current. Former Alabama golfer Drew Love won the Colorado Open and a $100,000 check at a tournament filled with amateurs and professionals. And he is, of course, the son of Davis Love III, great PGA Tour golfer. And current Alabama women's golfer Angelica Marasco won the bronze medal at the European Ladies Amateur Championship in Slovakia. Congratulations to both of them. Well, our beautiful shirts, as always, provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original elephant wear, and so much more. We want you to go by and see Alex and Rush and the staff in person if you can, or if you can't, you can shop online at their website, locker-room.biz. The original elephant wear, just in time for football season. You'll look great, plus there are other great clothing as well. Don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch a replay at 10:30 this evening right here on WVUA 23. You can find it anytime at WVUA23.com. Also, remember, we're streaming live now at WVUA23.com, so you can watch us live from anywhere that there is a computer. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, everybody.